Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be giving you a guide on the best co-op commander in my opinion for the Miner Evacuation co-op mission on brutal difficulty. Now I got this idea from someone in the comments, so I want to make sure to give them credit really quick. That person was named Jared Morrell. Okay, so what I did was I played through Miner Evacuation co-op mission with every single commander with a couple different strategies for each commander. So I played this mission about 2 to 3 times with each commander just to test out what was actually the best way to do this. Now when I'm saying best, I don't want to determine that by terms of speed. I don't want to say this commander is the best because I finished it the fastest. The reason I'm saying that is because I played with random players for the most part, and different players have different skill levels, and that affects how fast that we were going to finish the mission. So what I'm actually going to base my judgment on is how easy it was for me to actually keep my units or buildings alive, for example, and how easy it was just to like plow through the entire mission. Basically, difficulty-wise. So for the average player, this guide will be really helpful because there's some commanders that take more skill to play than others, and I'm just going to tell you guys which commander will be the easiest to use on this mission and will give you the most enjoyable experience if you just want to destroy your enemy. Alright, so that in mind, I would like to say that Abathur and Artanis were the two best commanders that I found for this co-op mission. Now, some of you might disagree with me, and that's definitely okay because it's just my opinion. But the reason I'm saying this is because Abathur, first of all you have to do, the strategy that I used was I just used roaches, queens, and then I morphed some brutalists, and then I also brought in some vipers, which can morph into leviathans. But really all you have to do is just use roaches and queens, and then you get the brutalists, and that's all you need. You don't even have to use ravagers. It's that easy because you have that really awesome ability called Mend, and the queens can heal your roaches and your brutalists. So it's really basic. You're only creating 2 units essentially, and one of your units is created from gathering that biomass, which is the brutalisk. And then if you step it up a notch, you can get the vipers and the leviathans. But that's something else if you're not as skilled and you can't get those units too. It's just really basic with Abathur. So queens and roaches. That's why I think I'm going to have to rank Abathur the easiest, in my opinion, for this co-op mission. Now, Artanis, depending on if you like Protoss more, or if you're just all around better with Protoss, Artanis was extremely easy to play on this co-op mission as well too, because the units are so strong. And the strategy I used with Artanis that I found to be the best for Artanis was the Tempests, and along with that I paired Zealots. And then I got the Whirlwind ability. I don't think that's listed in these skills here. Well, anyway, I got Tempests and Zealots, and that's all you have to do. Now, if you want to step up your game just a little bit, you can use these Phoenix, and then you also have to get some Observers, of course. So I guess I can say that with Abathur too. You need Overseers. That's another unit, but not as important. So yeah, another thing here, just Tempests and Zealots, just 2 units. And because Tempests do so much damage, your Tempests just aren't going to die. They stay in the back, and then you're going to want to warp in a ton of these Zealots. And the Zealots are going to do all the distracting for you, but Zealots are so cheap and they only cost minerals. So it's just such an easy combo to use. So you just set your Tempests in the back, and then as the infested Terran come at you, the Zealots will do all the distracting, and your Tempests just fire at them from the back, and it works out really well. So that's why I found these 2 commanders to be the easiest. When I was playing through, I just didn't lose any units. None of my units died really. And the ones that did die when I was playing as Artanis were really cheap Zealots, so they're really easy to replace. And I just built a ton of gateways, or warp gates that is, and I would just keep on warping back in units as the game progressed on. And yeah, so just made the mission super easy. Now, I bet a lot of you are thinking, Stukov would be really good for this mission, Karax, Alarak, Nova, and even any of these other commanders like Vorazun. Well, I played all of them, and I definitely still think these were the 2 easiest commanders. Now, that being said, Karax is very, very good at this mission, with the defense strategy. But I just didn't find that the photon cannons, they weren't as effective. Same with the K-Darren monoliths. You place down photon cannons, K-Darren monoliths, and you can wall off with the shield batteries. I mean, there's just so many units, and you kind of want some splash damage or just something to delay the enemy. But, I mean, it's just these are all single target defenses, and it's kind of expensive to build a bunch of defenses all over the map. So it might be a little difficult for some players, and that's why I'm not ranking Karax at number 1. Same goes with Stukov. Now, not price-wise, Stukov isn't ranked number 1, but you do have to have a little bit more skill to play as Stukov. And you also, I mean, the strategy that I use for Stukov is the bunker strategy. I just built these infested bunkers all over the place. And once I had them built, I would just walk them from one place to the next. Infested bunkers. So what I did was just build a ton of bunkers, and I had a couple barracks for infested Marines, and I would just spam them and walk them around the map. But the reason I'm not ranking Stukov on the top either is, one, you need a little more experienced players, as this says it's for co-op missions itself, but also just the fact that the infested bunkers are really slow to move around. And it's just not as quick of a strategy. And when you're using Abathur and Artanis, it's just so much faster and so much easier to use. So I'm not ranking Karax and Stukov on the top, but I'll put them like in place number 2. Abathur's 1, Artanis is 2, and then I'd say like Karax and Stukov are about tied for 3rd. And then I'm putting Alarak and Nova in like 4th place and 5th place. Well, okay, so there'd be 3rd for Karax, 4th for Stukov, and then I'll put Alarak at like number 5 and Nova at 6 if I was going to have to rank all the commanders for easiest to use for players and most effective. Alright, now the reason I'm putting, I'm going to switch that around actually. We're going to keep Alarak at number 5 and Nova at number 6. Alright, so what I did with Alarak, I bet a lot of you think that the Ascendance would be the best strategy, but I'm not going to say that's the best strategy for this because I want it an all-around guide for everyone, and I think Ascendants require quite a bit of micro, and that's actually pretty difficult for some people to do. So, a lot of people don't actually have that great of micro. For those of you who do, I mean, definitely go with Ascendants and Supplicants and then throw in some Havocs and Slayers if you need to. I mean, that's totally a great strategy for this mission. But if you don't have the micro, it's really hard to use for this mission, and it all around makes the mission harder. But the strategy that I used that I found to be really effective at this mission was building a ton of Supplicants with Alarak, and then throwing in a bunch of these Vanguards and a couple of Wrathwalkers. Now, why are the Vanguards so good? Because they deal area damage, and you can get an upgrade to actually improve their area damage. They're kind of like siege tanks in a way. They fire up these massive bombs into the air, and then they land and dish out a ton of damage. And the infested units that are coming at you are actually, they're decently weak to this area damage. So if you have like 8 to 10 of these Vanguards firing behind your line of Supplicants in the front, and you've got Alarak, of course, to distract the infested, I mean, everything's just going to die right away. So what I did is I was literally able to just plant my Vanguards in the back, and I could just press the hold command with all my units, and everything that came at me just died. It was really easy to just sit in one spot. But once again, it wasn't as effective as all of the commanders that I listed above Alarak. So that's why I'm putting Alarak in number 5. Alright, and then Nova, I am placing in number 6. To be more effective than Swan, Zagara, Raynor, and Kerrigan, I might have to move something around with Vorazun. But Nova I'm placing at number 6 because if you use the mech strategy, it's actually pretty darn good as well. So bio is definitely very good when you're using Nova, but the really good thing about Nova is the siege tanks, because they have that spider mine ability like Raynor has with the vultures. So these siege tanks already do damage, at a distance. They can fire long range. And then you got these spider mines that can be popped up really close right in front of the siege tanks. So if any of the infested get too close for the range of the siege tank fire, the spider mines will take care of them. So that's why Nova is really good at this mission as well, but not as high as the other commanders, once again, because it does take a little bit of practice to actually get good with Nova. Nova's more of an experienced playing style, and you do need to bring around some SCVs to actually repair your units. Now, you can also use these Ravens. They'll definitely be able to heal your siege tanks, and there's also those drones that you can drop down with your ability. But yeah, once again, just not as easy as the other co-op commanders. Alright, now the reason I'm putting Raynor, Kerrigan, Swan, Zagara, and Vorazan below these commanders is because I just found these commanders just to not be as good at this co-op mission. Now, Vorazan is the special one out of all the rest of these commanders here. Vorazan was really good if you're using Dark Templar and Corsairs. So these two units are super good. The Dark Templar are stealth, of course, and they do a ton of damage. And then the Corsairs, they have that special ability that, let's see if I can find it in here. Well, if I cannot find it, it's basically a field that they can drop down on the ground. And that field completely prevents any unit from attacking for, I think, about 10 seconds. Not your units, but the enemy units. Let's see here. Increase the range. Yeah, I can't find out what the ability was called, but it was definitely it's a really good combo, these two units paired together. And the Infested can't do anything to you. It's a really quick strategy, but I do kind of think that this strategy takes a little bit more skill and a little bit more micro to actually use. Just mainly because you're using Warp Gate units or Gateway units and Stargate units. And, you know, for some people, especially for me when I was starting out playing StarCraft, it's a little difficult to have different buildings producing and comboing different units together from different buildings like that. Just takes a little bit more practice. So that's why I'm ranking Vorazan. I'm going to put in number 7. Now, the rest of these commanders, Raynor, once again, I'm going to put in number 8. But I just still didn't find it to be as good as the rest of the commanders because Raynor, the vultures are so weak. They can just die so easily. Yes, you can replace them and they're super cheap and you can just build a ton of spider mines, but I actually do think you need a decent amount of micro for the vulture strategy as well. It does take a decent bit of skill, even though you really are just, you know, I mean, putting down spider mines and sitting behind them. But it does take a little bit of skill, and I think a lot of people who are experienced at StarCraft don't actually realize that it's a little bit more difficult for people who are just beginning at StarCraft. So the units are weak, once again. They're really cheap, but you need micro, and they die super easy. So I'm going to place Raynor in number 8. Now, the reason I put the rest of these commanders at the bottom is because when I was playing, I just did not find them to really have what it takes to really step it up for Miner Evacuation. Now, the Overmind, he is an excellent Swan player. I don't have the abilities that he does when playing at Swan. He's great. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about right now, the Overmind has a YouTube channel. It's with a 0 Overmind. So go check out his YouTube channel. But he's really good at Terran in multiplayer mode, and he's very good at playing Swan. Me, on the other hand, I'm not as good at Swan. I do find that Swan's ability to use siege tanks and Thors, it's really good if you pair that with some SCVs and you build some turrets. But I actually think that strategy takes a lot of skill. That's why I'm ranking Swan so far down. For the amount of skill it takes to actually use him, that really good strategy that he has with the siege tanks, the Thors, getting upgrades and throwing down some of these flaming Betty turrets around everything, and some spinning dizzies. You have to really move around your static defense along with your units a lot, and I just think that takes a little bit more skill than the average person can do. So I'm going to place Swan at number 9. And then finally, Kerrigan and Zagara. So these commanders are at the very bottom because I just couldn't keep anything alive when I'm using them. I mean, first off, I think I'm even going to place Zagara above. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to place Zagara above Kerrigan actually, because Zagara has, you know, these Banelings, which are Splitterlings, I guess they're called. Zagara has these Splitterlings that are super duper effective, super duper, right? That are very effective because you can upgrade them. There's about 3 upgrades from the Baneling nest, and you just upgrade the damage at the evolution chamber for melee attack damage basically, and you can completely decimate everything in your path. But the downside is when you're using that strategy is that everything will be dead in your army, and you have nothing left to actually stop the oncoming waves of infested. So that's why Zagara is so far at the bottom. And I mean, there is the strategy of using aberrations and these bio launchers, which are actually very good. I didn't actually know that until just recently because I actually played with CTG, and I just always thought these structures weren't very good. But I was playing on the, let's see, Missed Opportunities, I think it was Oblivion Express. Yeah, Temple of the Past, there we go. I was playing on Temple of the Past with CTG, and he actually used a ton of these bio launchers, which are very good. I did not use this strategy, so that might make Zagara a little bit better for this mission if you use these. But yeah, I just couldn't keep any of the army alive, and I'd still beat the mission, but it was just, it's so clumsy, and you don't really have anything structured. It's hard for me to rank Zagara higher up when there isn't anything very secure about her. And then same goes for Kerrigan. The only really strong thing that I felt I used when using Kerrigan, I'm going to put Kerrigan ranked at the very end. The only thing that I found really strong about Kerrigan was Kerrigan. That's about it. You know, these ultra or Torasks, I think they're called. These units are really strong, but against waves and waves of infested, even though they can respawn, I just couldn't find myself to be able to build up to that point where having a full 200 supply in time to meet the demands of the oncoming waves. So what I would find is that even though I had some Ultralists, they would just die too fast. And then I also tried the strategy of Zerglings and Hydralisks, or Hydralisks and Ultralists, or Toras that is, and even yet, those two strategies, nothing. I just couldn't get any. I couldn't get to the 200 supply cap because everything just died too fast. Now, some players are really good and they have very good micro. It'll be different for them, but once again, I'm talking more so on the lines of an average player. And then also, I tried the Broodlord and Mutalist strategy. Once again, wasn't all that great. I mean, Broodlords are good and all, but it's very expensive to get these air units and get upgrades for these air units, so wasn't very great. Now, I did just think of something that may bump Kerrigan up in ranking. I actually forgot I did play with Lurkers. And if you just go pure, if you just spam pure Lurkers, that strategy actually is pretty decent on this map, and you throw in a couple Hydralisks for killing units. But once again, I just don't find Kerrigan all that dependable. If you were to play on this mission, I would suggest using Lurkers. But yeah, I'm going to have to place Kerrigan at the end. Now, I hope what I've said was helpful for all of you. Now, if you have opposing opinions, please post them in the comments. I would love to hear them. And I just really hope that my ranking system was helpful for you guys. Once again, I placed Abathur at the top, and then Artanis in number slot 2. So, well, if you guys agreed with me, or if you think my number 1 position is correct, let me know too. And I'm definitely willing to change my list and create another video on what you all think too, if you have something to say. Anyways, thanks for watching, everyone, and I will be posting a video soon playing with Alarak using these Vanguard strategy, the Vanguard and the Supplicant strategy, because it was very, very strong. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. If you liked, leave a like. Thank you.